Okay, so this is my story. I did basically about how I basically made it about you can choose. You're basically stranded in the middle of the woods and you have to survive, and you gain lives by hunting, and if you shoot and you kill the animal, you gain lives, but if you miss or get scared, um you lose lives, and depending on the animal, you gain more or you lose less depending on the type of animal. So okay, so let's start on this is like the main function right here. This is like start game. So we go right in, so it's because right here, that's the first we open that function, start game. So we go to start game. From start game we go to player info. So we're gonna go up to player info, the player info function that we called. So we go boom into here, player info. We go right here into player info. From here, player info, the person puts in their name. That goes into name, a new line. We made this list, put it into rows. This will print out. Choose for them to choose a role, and it'll print out the roles. The user will put in, hopefully, a name that was in the role list. If not, we're gonna correct it through here. So if it's not in the role, then they'll get into this loop right here, this while loop that sends the role that they put in, and if it's not there, invalid, and then they just stay here until they put in the right name in the role, right? Then we get into a while loop for the ages, making sure that it's a number. Yeah, so they input a name. If it's not a name, then they'll get stuck in this loop right here. Right, then we got that. Then we go back to this function. Then once we got the player information, that will be printed out. They'll print it out on this side. Then say you're standing in the middle of the woods, your stomach starts rumbling, you gotta find a meal. Then we go right here. Show files, show lives. So show lives is gonna go up here, and it's gonna go to this function, show lives, and then the lives right here, lives holds 3, so it'll print this out right here. All right, then we go back to our main function, and we made this list called choices of the types of animals that are gonna pop up, right? Okay, so then choose who you encounter, then it'll print out the list right here, because that's what we called it. And then the user will put in the animal that they want. It'll go into the user's choice, and it'll go through here, and if user choice equals quit, then it'll just quit. Like, it'll just print this out, and then it'll exit the whole program with the import, right? Then it'll send user choice to the function encounter. So now we're in the function encounter, which we sent user's choice to, and the first thing that's gonna happen is gonna ask the user to make a choice on either to shoot or get scared, and that'll go into the variable function. And it'll go into this loop right here, into this if statement right here. If the user equals bear, it'll go into this loop right into this function, and if the action that the user initially chose was shoot, it'll print out it was a perfect shot, and then it'll go into the gain a life function that we called. And gain the life function is it'll go global live, so because the lives are up top, so it stays low, it stays like recent. So then it'll add a life to the original count that we had, and then it'll print out you gained another meal, right? We had 3 of those for the bear, so it'll just, the program, it'll go here, 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 here. So it'll just stay in the game 3 times, and it'll print it out. Let's say the user put in scared for action, then it'll go from here. It's not there. It's not in this if statement. So elf, right, goes right into the elf, and then since scared is in the action, it'll get stuck right here, and it'll print this out, and then it'll go to the lose a life function that we called. The lose life function is right here, same thing as the gain, but instead it'll remove of life from the initial count that we had, or whatever the count was, depending on when they chose that animal, right? And then also we needed to end the game if they get under 0, or if they get 0, because we don't want them to get any negative lives. We want them at 0 to quit the game, so game over. Once they get 0, they get in this if statement right here. Right. Same thing if they so this is in that same if statement. If they didn't choose a bear, it'll go to the elf. Same thing with duck. Since a duck is like harmless, and there's barely any meat, you just gain 1 life. And let's say this says they got scared, then it flew away, but you lose 1 life because hunger, not really because it attacks you, compared to the bear where it would attack you. Yeah, and then else, then clearly you didn't put you didn't put any input for when you chose duck. You didn't put in the action variable, you didn't put anything that was an option. Then you'll go to the wolf. In the outside, if you chose wolf initially in the start game, in the user's choice, if you chose wolf, you come down here, you gain 2 lives or lose 2 lives, depending if you choose scared or shot. If not, if you didn't write any of those, you get invalid action. Now, if you chose something outside of here, out of the side of the user's choice, then you just go to this else right here, and you get invalid choice, and then it sends you back over here. So you'll stay in this loop. You'll stay in this loop until you either have more than 5 lives, or once you hit 0 lives. If you hit 0 lives, you get stuck right here. Right, you get stuck right here. You ran out of lives, game over. Exit. But then if you get more than 5 lives, you're here, 5 lives, you go right here. If life is 0, you conquered the wilderness, you have enough food for your life, you won, and that's where you exit. So that's how you do it.